Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Vijay Bang. I'm a senior interventional cardiologist at Leelavati Hospital and Research Center. I welcome you to this webinar on familial hypercholesterolemia. What does that mean? The familial as the name suggests, that it runs in the family. There are two types. Heterozygous means transmitted from one parent having familial hypercholesterolemia, and disease is transferred from one parent to the progeny. When both the parents having familial hypercholesterolemia, disease that is transmitted genetically is homozygous. Okay. Now we will discuss what are the differences in heterozygous and homozygous varieties. But most important of all is this condition of familial hypercholesterolemia is underdiagnosed. It's undertreated because we don't have a high index of suspicion, or we lack a high index of suspicion, particularly for this condition. It is not uncommon. This condition is seen in 1 in 200 people. So it's very, very common condition. Only thing we should have a high index of suspicion. Whenever we see a xantholesma or xanthoma in young age, or premature coronary artery disease, or premature atherosclerosis, it should point us that it may be a possible familiar hypercholesterolemia. Okay. Now, most of the food that we ingest is triglyceride. There's hardly cholesterol in the food. The triglyceride through the small intestine get absorbed and then metabolized and converts into triglyceride, which is we call VLDL, then the intermediate variety of lipoproteins, and then LDL, that is low density lipoprotein. And then they get tagged on the receptor we call LDL receptor in normal person. There are two types of receptor. So if the heterozygous variety, what happens is that one receptor, you can see the red square sign, one receptor is totally dysfunctional. So the LDL cannot get attached to it. So there is a free LDL which is in the serum, and the LDL-C levels are more than 190 milligram. That is when you suspect that this is perhaps a case of familiar hypercholesterolemia or heterozygous variety. When it is transmitted from both the parents being familial hypercholesterolemic, then it is called as homozygous variety, and both the receptors, LDL receptors, are dysfunctional. That leads to very high level of free cholesterol, more than 500 ml of LDL-C. So this leads to, whenever the LDL is very high in the body, it leads to premature atherosclerosis in the system. Now, once we have an idea, then we have to look at how genetically we can confirm whether this is a familial hypercholesterolemia or not. We have most of the time an autosomal dominant variety that is seen with a penetration power of 90%, and there are 1200 mutations of the LDL receptor, 1200 mutations. So variety of mutations, and mutations vary from country to country. Another one mutation is ApoB, but this is small number. The percentage of ApoB having hypercholesterolemia, familial hypercholesterolemia, small number. Same way, mutation of PCSK9, and one more mutation, that is ApoE. So these are the various varieties of ApoE mutation, And commonest is LDLR mutation, LDL receptor mutation, and they are seen in various 1200 types of mutation, and 80% of those patients are from LDLR. In India, we have a Lipid Association of India, which has depicted that LDLR variety is 67%, and then ApoB is second commonest, 14%, and PCSK9 is 2.3%, and other various mutations which are seen are 16.7%. But there is also a recessive variety. Recessive variety is very, very rare. Autosomal dominant variety is common. Recessive variety is very, very rare. And most of the patients that we see in India, 85 to 90%, are LDLR receptor. Now, how do we diagnose clinically? There are three symptom sign complex. That is clinical feature, the family history, and very high level of total cholesterol and LDL-C. Just now we discussed that, how high it can be. And various organizations have described this clinical criteria, and first one was Simon Broom, who described this criteria. And then Dutch modified it, included the Simon Broom criteria, plus he added DNA analysis. And MedPed is American criteria, but it doesn't include xanthoma, xanthosema, so it is less accepted. So most accepted is Dutch variety because it says both the Simon Broom criteria plus a DNA analysis. At that point I just made to you. Then next. So then there is a point score, clinical from the history, family history, personal history, physical signs, blood analysis, and DNA analysis. The majority point comes when you have, if based on the LDL-C level. So if LDL-C level is more than 330, you straight away get 8 points. Once you have 8 points, more than 8 or more points, then diagnosis of familial hypercholesterolemia is confirmed. Probable is 6 to 7 and possible is 3 to 5. And most of the time this clinical feature of Achilles heel tendon having xanthoma is missed. And that is where we need to be aware that we need to have a high index of suspicion for clinical diagnosis of familial hypercholesterolemia. Now, these various clinical criteria can get obtained if the patient is treated by statin, and if the threshold is low, if the parents are young, so it can, get these criteria can get undermined in this condition. What is the presentation? Typical presentation is aortic arc and abdominal aorta progress strikingly in children of 1 to 13 years due to hypercholesterolemic mother, and they rise to very high level, leads to severe aortic stenosis due to cholesterol deposition and supravalvular aortic stenosis. This is the inherited variety, and it can lead to myocardial infarction. Particularly homozygous variety can cause changes in very early childhood, even fetal death it can cause. The diagnosis, as I said, is by genetic testing. But genetic testing is the key to diagnosis, and clinical diagnosis, clinical criteria can diagnose 50% of the patient. And if you add genetic, it will add further 20 to 30%. So 80% patient can be diagnosed. Negative genetic test doesn't rule out the possible diagnosis of familial hypercholesterolemia, provided you have a clinical features of high LDL-C level, very high, alarmingly high LDL-C level, and xanthoma, xanthosema, and other premature coronary artery disease or atherosclerosis. And it's very important to diagnose this, because earlier we diagnose, the better it is for the prognosis of these patients. You can start the treatment early. Med-PET criteria, as I said, is American criteria, but not included in clinical criteria. They have not included tendinous xanthoma. So that is what the main problem with these criteria. That's why they are not popular criteria. Xanthosoma is seen quite often in Achilles heel. Any other tendons, it can be seen in bicep and tricep. But the clinician has to have a high index of suspicion to palpate these tendons carefully. In the Achilles heel tendon, we should palpate carefully to find the xanthoma is there or not there. Bicep, we should carefully examine, palpate, and even tricep for that matter, for early diagnosis of xanthoma. As I said, if you have a cutaneous xanthoma, they can be eruptive xanthoma, or you can see this Achilles heel xanthoma, you can see a big one there. And then tuberous xanthoma is known, 12-year-old girl with the homozygous variety. And father was heterozygous, so he had a xanthosoma. So these are various clinical characteristics that we see for the diagnosis of this patient. And the cascade, the family tree, first the blood relative, first degree and second degree relative. We need to do DNA testing. And cascade screening has, if treated on time with the statin, particularly atorvastatin, then the results from 38% improves to 90%. So early diagnosis is very vital for good prognosis. Now we are discussing the clinical criteria of homozygous variety, means both parents have familial hypercholesterolemia and they transmit it to progeny as a homozygous variety. In that, as I discussed with you, the cholesterol LDL-C level is more than 500. The cutaneous and tendon xanthoma are seen before the age of 10 years. And untreated elevated LDL-C levels consistent with heterogeneous familial hypercholesterolemia. This is how we can come to a diagnosis of familial hypercholesterolemia, either homozygous or heterozygous. So genetic testing is a very key feature. Though genetic testing is expensive, but it is possible to do it in India also. And that is something we need to really should be subsidized. So even the common man can get the genetic testing done. And various cutaneous and tendinous xanthomas that are seen, xanthosoma over the eyes, and arcus senilis. You can see the arcus senilis here. So various way we can, if we are carefully in clinically diagnosing all this, will be very useful. If patient have a homozygous variety, it has accelerated atherosclerosis, typically affecting aortic root, although other vascular territory may also be affected. First major cardiovascular event often occur during adolescence, possibly younger patient with LDL are negative or untreated. I had a patient who presented to me at the age of 11 years. She was moving from pillar to post, one pediatrician to other pediatrician with chest pain. Nobody was able to pick up the diagnosis of coronary artery disease in a child of, she was treated with some painkillers and whatnot and so many investigations. When she somehow landed with me, I immediately picked up that this is familial hypercholesterolemia, and then she had a ostial left main stenosis, which we treated with the stent, and that patient became all right. Then signs of aortic stenosis and regurgitation at valvular and supravalvular level is known to occur in patients with homozygous variety of familial hypercholesterolemia. You can see this. If you do a CT scan, you can easily see the severe calcium deposit at the aortic valve and in the aorta. Full aorta is calcified. White you see is a calcium. And this is how these patients are, they present at a very early age. Now, homozygous compound, where both parents are having a heterozygous familial hypercholesterolemia, on the other hand, present in the first decade of life. They have distinctive severe clinical phenotype. The age at which they present depends on degree of LDL receptor activity. Those with the full phenotype, less than 2% LDL receptor activity, tend to present earlier and resulting even in intrauterine death. I told you, it can develop, even cause intrauterine death. These patients have primarily dermatological and ocular manifestation, tendinocytomas, and interdigital xanthoma are pathognomonic of homogeneous variety. And tendinocytoma are frequently missed, as I said, as we don't carefully examine Achilles heel, bicep, and tricep tendons for early detection, which is a very key for clinical diagnosis of xanthoma. These are interdigital xanthomas. That is how they are clinically seen in a patient who's got familial hypercholesterolemia. Now, we need to exclude other causes of CVD risk factor like hypertension, diabetes, that is Framingham risk criteria, and assess how much is the risk for the patient for developing atherosclerosis. And other secondary causes also are very important to pick up. The classically known as one condition called as cytosterolemia. This can mimic homozygous variety of familial hypercholesterolemia, but this is, if diagnosed early, this can be very easily treated with DIASE, bile acid sequestrant, and ezetimibe. And they're very, very good response, but diagnosis is very key. Early diagnosis is very key. Now, screening tests, former lipid guidelines advocated targeted screening, which compromise a fasting lipid profile test in children with risk factors for familial hypercholesterolemia, such as family history of premature CVD. Dyslipidemia, obesity, however, despite its cost effectiveness, the approach entailed is the risk missing 30 to 60% in affected patient because we don't have a high index of suspicion. And this is a very common condition, should not be missed clinically. That's why awareness should be spread. I'm talking to you, you please talk to 10 of your friends that familial hypercholesterolemia is not uncommon. If you see an alarming high level of LDL-C in lipid profile, that should alert you, or you see xanthoma clinically or early premature coronary artery disease, that should alert you clinically. Universal screening test is not very cost effective. That is what we call a DNA testing. Although intuitively attractive, a significant number of clinically diagnosed patients are negative for mutation, as I told you, that negative test does not rule out familial hypercholesterolemia. Even the genetic testing, if it is negative, doesn't rule out hypercholesterolemia. So we have to look at the family cascade, first degree relative, second degree relative, and blood relative, and come to a very reasonable diagnosis clinically if we are alert and aware of condition called as familial hypercholesterolemia and presentation of homozygous in very early age before adolescence, and the heterozygous variety can present as early as the age of 50 to 60. Males little early and females little later. That is how we describe premature coronary artery disease and male and female. The ideal screening among the children is also keenly debated. The Lipid Research Clinic prevalence studies demonstrated that age of 2 years, the serum lipid level reached that of young adults, age of 2 years. While the National Health Nutrition Examination reported that peak lipid levels are reached between 9 to 11 years if a child is suffering from hypertriglyceridemia, familial hypertriglyceridemia. The other Therefore, universal screening is best performed between age of 9 to 11 years of age, whereas screening at any age of 2 years is preferred of those who are candidates who are targeted on screening based on their family history. Now, family cascade, as I discussed, that first degree, second mutation positive, 50% relatives will have FH positive. Patients with mutation have higher rate of coronary heart disease, and mutation negative is 20 to 30% relatives have high cholesterol. So negative test doesn't rule out, that is what it means. The clinical criteria may not identify all patients with FH, and genetic testing is a part of screening strategy. And in United States, it is done infrequently, partly because of the cost. As I said, the genetic testing cost is very high. However, a mutation is not always found in patients with clinical FH, and lack of mutation is something should not change the diagnosis. And now coming to the management, the large target of National Lipid Association guideline target LDL level of less than 130 milligram or 50% reduction from the baseline value. More rigorous targets are proposed in patients with additional risk factors such as diabetes, obesity, and family history of CVD and smoking, of course. If in the children aged of 10 to 14 years, an LDL level of less than 160 or 30% reduction from the baseline level is targeted. A rigorous target lipid level less than 130 is recommended in children between the age of 14 to 18 years, the older children, not the younger children 10 to 14. In the patient with older than 18 years, the lipid target is less than 100. So that is how we need to treat them very aggressively. Apart from the lifestyle management, reduction in calorie, reduction in fatty diet, and avoidance of weight gain, physical activity, all those are included, plus treatment of hypertension, diabetes if they are there. Apart from this, we need to give them statin. And atorvastatin seems to be most effective drug for the treatment of this patient. And however, they have a restricted role in patient with the homozygous variety, where patient is young, adolescent, and has both parents having a familial hypercholesterolemia. So it is a homozygous, a serious type of variety. And the Food and Drug Administration of America has approved lovastatin, atorvastatin, simvastatin, and rosuvastatin in children over the age of 10 years, and pravastatin to be given below the age of 8 years. So pravastatin for younger children below the age of 8 years. No major side effects which retard growth or sexual development or muscle or liver toxicity if statins are given. Concurrently, they showed excellent efficacy in lipid lowering with 26.5 mean relative reduction in LDL cholesterol level. Give moderate to high intensity statin. Patients with FH who have higher risk of CHD require more intensive drug therapy. Children and adolescents being treated with statin should have a regular follow-up with close monitoring of creatinine kinase, CK, and as the SGPT, HUT for assess liver function test. To assess liver function, because statins are known to cause hepatitis. We all know that. A various variety of statins which are available, but safest is atorvastatin, least minimal renal excretion. So renal, it doesn't affect the renal, if the kidneys are involved, disease, it doesn't affect. Atorvastatin is a better drug in that term, reduces almost up to 50% reduction in the cholesterol level. Compared to other drugs, it's more effective and less toxic. The ezetimibe can be added. We can add bile acid sequestrant like cholestyramine or cholesterol, which are available. Niacin can be added. Niacin NF can be safely given without much of side effects, which normally we fear giving niacin for side effect. But if you add a niacin NF, the side effects are very little. And in case side effect occur, you can give 75 milligram of ecosprin or aspirin to the patient before giving half an hour before giving niacin. That reduces considerably the side effects of niacin. Fenofibrate is also very effective if patient also has additional hypertriglyceridemia. So when targets are not made, doubling the dose of statin always help, further reduces 6 to 8%. So drugs that can be added in the statin reduction is ezetimibe, bile acid secretion, and niacin, which I already discussed. Women with FH who are of childbearing age should be advised to use contraception while on therapy with the statin or ezetimibe for that matter. If they become pregnant while on, the women become pregnant while on statin, as soon as the pregnancy is detected, statins should be immediately withdrawn from the treatment. And colesevelam is a category B drug, can be used when clinically indicated. For pregnant women with homozygous variety of familial hypercholesterolemia, heterozygous, atherosclerosis is something which we all worry, and which is premature atherosclerosis, leading to affecting a long-term prognosis of the patient. And if the drugs are not able to control, then of course LDL apheresis can be used in patient with homozygous compound or compound FEHS, homozygous also called as compound FEHS, HEFH, frequently have elevated levels of optimal medical therapy. Lower LDL cholesterol level rapidly between 15 to 75%. Commonly used technique. Various kinds of variety of apheresis are available, which can be used in a given patient. LDL cholesterol levels with apheresis are transitory reduced. So we need a frequent apheresis weekly or maybe bi-monthly for regular reduction in triglyceride level if drugs are not well tolerated or drugs are not enough to control. And the apheresis is selectively remove all ApoB lipoprotein containing lipoprotein, LDL, very low VLDL, and LPA. LPA is supposed to be independent risk factor for coronary artery disease, and lower them by 60 to 75%. There is a little effect on other plasma component like HDL, lowered minimally, but that is a good thing. It's a good HDL, so it doesn't get affected much. That is the point which is important. We should know that if you advise apheresis, LDL is not removed that much, so it is good for the patient. And we try to meet approximately 50% LDL level of the original level. And the recommendation for the apheresis is LDL goal reduction has not been achieved by diet and drugs. Adequate drug therapy is not tolerated or contraindicated. Functional homozygosis, if you want to reduce, not reducing the LDL level below 330. And the functional heterozygous level also is important to reduce in case drugs are not able to reduce with the lipid apheresis. Gene therapy is not so much popular at the moment and not so clearly effective. So at the moment, but surgical therapy is something which can be advised to the patient, either ileal bypass or liver transplantation surgery. And that seems to be effective in certain subset of patient, particularly the homozygous variety and some severe type of heterozygous variety. There are other drugs which are now available and they are called as novel drug. and they are both used in homozygous and heterozygous, but more in homozygous variety, and they're named as Lomipitide and Myopomersan. And these drugs are supposed to be effective in treatment of familial hypercholesterolemia. Their hepatotoxicity is a little concern. So when you administrate these drugs, we have to be extremely careful in noting the side effects of these drugs, but they can be used with some safety margin. Another is, we all know PCSK9 is also available in India. It is in intravenous form, and but expensive treatment. All these treatment that we are discussing are expensive drugs, but they are also effective. But the drug is not without the side effect. PCSK9 also has its side effect. It can cause, like statin, it can also cause a muscle aches, memory loss, and it can also cause cataract. So if LDL levels are reduced more than 20%. So we have to be extremely careful in using these drugs and monitor the patient for side effects. So that moment we notice some side effect, drug can be withdrawn and we can try some other kind of drug therapy. And these drugs are supposed to be effective. Various trials have been done on these drugs, evolocumab and alirocumab, and those trials have suggested that these drugs are really effective in reducing the LDL-C level in patients with familial hypercholesterolemia. Another new drug which is available is called as angiopoietin-like 3, which one is also very effective, and it's named as evinacumab. It's a full antibody, human antibody, which can be given, and it is also very effective in reducing the LDL level. Elevated high lipoprotein can be treated with this particular drug, because very elevated HDL also can be harmful. Though HDL is supposed to be a good cholesterol, but if it is above a particular level like 60 or 70, above that, and as it goes higher it goes, the higher it can lead to atherosclerosis. That is a very important point. I just wanted to highlight that. And this is, we have discussed that these drugs are effective, but they are not without the side effects. Now, involving 149 patients, there are several studies which are done, and they've shown clearly that it reduces the risk of atherosclerosis and premature coronary artery significantly. This Simon Broom registry and other registry also shown the similar kind of results. So in conclusion, to make the diagnosis of familial hypercholesterolemia, we should have a high index of suspicion, should do a clinical examination very carefully, and the moment we see a the LDL level more than 190, it should make you aware that do a proper, thorough tendon examination of bicep, tricep, and Achilles, so that we can pick up these xanthomas if they are hidden behind the muscle. And clinical score can be improved. Cascade diagnosis screening is very, very important in diagnosis. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I would like to take some questions. I know there are several questions being asked. Any preventive role of statins in COVID configuration in patients? Yes, of course. Statins are recommended in COVID patient, and because COVID per se leads to endothelial dysfunction in coronary arteries and cause plaque disruptions. To stabilize the plaque, statin should be continued. No problem with that. Then Dr. Jagdish Waghel has asked, at what age first one should do a lipid profile in patient who have a family history of hypercholesterolemia, that is familial hypercholesterolemia, between the age of 9 to 11 years recommended, unless you have a very strong suspicion about homozygous variety, then you can do earlier also before the age of 9 to 11 years. This is when you suspect. In the when you don't have, normally we suggest that at least baseline lipid level should be measured after the age of 18 years in all the individual. And statin is good, of course. Apart from medication, how to deal with high lipid profile? Yeah. Some patients have a what you call a resistant lipid level. They may not be classical familial hypercholesterolemia. They may be a resistant type of hypercholesterolemia. We need to give them for long term and add niacin, which is very effective. And niacin NF 300 in my practice I use. It's very, very useful. It doesn't cause much side effects, and it's very safe to give, not to fear at all of those side effects, typical headache and flushing. All those are not seen with NF variety. It's slow release, so it's naturally it's not going to cause that kind. And we can add, if there is a classical hyperlipidemia that we see in India, is increase in LDL, increase in VLDL, that is triglyceride, increase in LDL, that is cholesterol, and decrease in HDL. That is the variety that we see in Indians. And that is how we have to treat and combine other drugs when we treat this patient. Now, next is the Dr. Baiju Chaugule. Ideal LDL goal range if high intensity. Less than up to 50, no problem at all. There are studies which have proven that up to 50 LDL, no problem at all. You can give, especially in those patients who already have their known case of CAD, or they have a strong family history of CAD, and those patients can be aggressively treated with statin, high intensity statin. Some of them tolerate very well. Some of them don't tolerate that well the statin. So we have to make proper, frequently regular their hepatic test like HGST, SGOPT, and find out whether they are tolerating or not. If the baseline SGPT was was 50 or 60 normal range, if it goes more than 3 times of the baseline, that is when you suspect that the statins are leading to hepatitis and may require withdrawal of the drug. Or sometimes even myopathy is significant enough to reduce the doses of the drugs. And let me see more questions. Yeah, there are more questions. Prashant Walge, preventive role I discussed. Any more questions? I have answered all the questions.
Yes, sir. There are no questions anymore.
Okay. So good evening, everybody, and thank you for your kind attention. And that is how we can discuss lipid profile. I can share my number if you have any case which is resistant and you want it to be treated. Then you can call me and we can discuss how it should be treated, or you can refer the patient to me, whatever way you are comfortable with. This is my number.
So, sir, with your permission, can we conclude this session?
Yeah, we can conclude the session that when you have in concluding remark, I would say that if you see a patient with xanthoma, xanthosarcoma, and premature coronary arteriosus, arcus senilis, you should suspect familial hypercholesterolemia and do proper LDL profile, lipid profile. And if LDL level more than 190, it nearly confirms the diagnosis of familial hypercholesterolemia on clinical basis. Then, of course, the DNA analysis, genetic testing becomes mandatory for us to, reach the proper diagnosis. and so that proper treatment can be initiated in the patient and the prognosis can be improved considerably. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Sir, thank you for, on behalf of Blueprint, sir, thank you for your insightful and educative talk, sir. Thank you for your
Thank
valuable time, sir. Thank you, sir.
you.